the assessment that we did as part of the project. The other side of the assessment was to look into existing education, especially online education. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here, but we looked, there's not as much inside the rail industry, or especially inside the high-speed rail. Yes, for technical training, internal company systems, so we looked at outside the rail industry as well. And here are just some of the different entities that we looked at, FHWA, Utah DOD, and so on. But one of the key ones that we found out was the CITE, and it's actually Kathleen Frankel, who is the program manager for that, and she'll be our keynote speaker today talking about their system, because we think it has a lot of common features for what we need to be doing here. We looked at what's going on in the high-speed rail or rail training education today. There's obviously multiple ways of doing it, definitely besides online. Workshops, professional training, all kinds of ARIMA things, ARIMA course, academic courses, collaborations, and then the web-based training on high-speed rail. And also a lot of training by class ones. In the U.S. high-speed rail education today, a few things that are going on. APTA has organized some workshops live through with the help of UIC. There's some university courses. BC Cow is teaching one in University of Illinois. The Minera Transportation Institute is teaching one or two courses. And of course, ARIMA is, I believe, starting some webinars specific to high-speed rail, but not a whole lot going on in the U.S. right now. We also looked a little bit to the European aspect. And one of the interesting things was, and Peter will talk more about this workforce demand numbers and so on, but try to find out how many people are actually working in Europe when it comes to railroads. And we got about $900,000 specifically directly employed by the railway sector. But there's really no specific high-speed rail workforce. It's all mixed. And I think that's what you're going to be seeing. France estimated they have about 8,000, 10,000 employees working more or less directly to high-speed rail. Alstom specifically mentioned that they have 1,600 people. Spain, very new high-speed rail system, had about 10,000 involved in the construction. So it is pretty big piece, but it's all mixed. And that's what, when we looked at the education side in Europe, the message really was that there's really no high-speed rail education. It's all rail education that is integrated with the high-speed rail. UIC does some specific high-speed rail training on their workshops. There's quite a few master's programs that involve high-speed rail, but none of them is specific only for high-speed railing, and there's some examples here listed. I think in Spain, and we are lucky to have a visitor from Spain here, this is kind of a coincidence, they have a very interesting, pretty modern, very online-based approach for some of the education, and we'll hear some more a little bit later. This is, Minera has been working on another project for California, and they looked at what are the different phases of development for high-speed rail, and these 6 phases are what they came up with. So what we try to look at is that, well, how are these addressed in the education side? Who addresses which side? It's pretty clear that some of these planning workshops and courses are mainly related for the design, build management phase. And after that, and these are often organized by associations and so on. Once it gets to operational phase, it turns a lot into operational training centers and specific training by the companies and training centers. Kind of interesting division there. But it's really the university programs that tries to kind of look at the whole big picture from the beginning to the end. Just a last thing, a couple of other online rail education training examples that we were able to identify. Pretty interesting one in Australia, something called WebRail. They do a lot of basic and customized training, both for free and for profit purposes. Obviously, we do have some examples in the U.S. of collaborative online training, and that's the contractor orientation, where contractors can go to do their safety training for various railroads and entities in one site.